Channel today is not going to be an official episode or a very fun episode at all. It's today I want to talk to you guys all about what's going on here in Quebec. The country has the province has started to become COVID crazy again. I shouldn't even use that word because they're going to restrict this video, but now they just once again Quebec is now putting another curfew on, a 10 o'clock curfew here in Quebec. More restrictions coming. Can't live, can't walk. They want to isolate us all like we're 95-year-old diabetic people again. It's been 2 years now. We're in lockdown, restrictions, lack of ability to move around. This new 10 o'clock restriction for me is unacceptable. And I want to make my voice heard. It doesn't work. It doesn't make a difference. You vaccinated us, you jailed us, you corralled us into little corners. You're trying to isolate 8 million people as if we were elderly and diabetic with pre-existing conditions. Like if we're all suffering from COVID at once. This is a disease. I shouldn't even say that word because I can get in trouble. This is an issue that we should take seriously, yes, but it's not deadly to certain individuals, the vast majority of individuals. A better strategy would be to isolate those who are vulnerable, those who are older, those who have comorbidity, and those who are obese. Attempting to lock down an entire population who has more chance of dying from lightning or car accidents or pick your poison. There's 1,001 things that are more deadly to the vast majority of people out there. To try and do this to us is ludicrous. Now, I've given you guys 2 years of my life. I'm not giving you another 2 years. Originally, when you locked us down, you promised us it would be over in 2 weeks. Now, this is 2 years later. Canadians, the world is watching. You are behaving like cowards. In the US and around the world, in Europe, they would never accept such foolish, illogical measures. Now, a lot of you are going to say that it's not foolish. Where are the public debates? Let me throw some facts at you here. They refuse to publicly debate their measures. The Quebec government is refusing to publicly debate their measures. Canada is a high IQ population. We want to know why and what results exactly you're getting by policing us, fining us, sending us fines in the mail, sending us home, locking us into our homes. What results are you producing? Now, let me throw you guys some interesting facts you might not know. In terms of restrictive measures, Canada scored a 65 on 100. Sweden scored 19 on 100, meaning Sweden is far less restrictive than Canada. Canada scored 70 on resilience, 70 on 100 for resilience. 70 on 100. Sweden scored 69 on 100 with far less vaccines, number one, and far less restrictions, almost no restrictions. They just wanted people to use common sense, personal responsibility. Canadians, are you listening? Quebecois, are you listening? Personal responsibility. Don't go to grandma's house. If she has comorbidity, she's obviously older, or she's obese, don't go to grandma's house. We know who's in danger of this disease. If you're 16, 25, 35, 40, and you're fit, you look up the death rate. You look it up for yourselves. Okay, I'll tell you the death rate of 19 and younger because it came out in April. Here in Canada, it was 0.0. And that's why I don't vaccinate my kids. Now, I'm fully vaccinated. I'm not anti-vax. Please don't take it this way. Vaccinate yourselves, protect yourselves, talk to your doctors, make your own decisions. I'm not here to tell you what to decide. By the way, this video is surely going to be taken down. But what I am here to tell you is live via personal responsibility. I don't need Legault to be my mother goose. Okay, I already have a mother. I don't need François Legault to be my mother. Quebecois, you're humiliating yourselves. Personal responsibility, distancing, masks, that's as far as I'm personally willing to go. Curfews and isolation and policing and closing down businesses. If you're a 95-year-old man with diabetes, you should be smart enough not to go into a restaurant. You should be smart enough to know that, hey, maybe I shouldn't take the public bus. Maybe the government should take all this money that they're printing and make a program for those who are actually in danger of dying from this disease. I'm I'm a taxpaying. I love to pay my taxes if I know it's going to a great place. And helping the elderly is a great thing. Protecting the elderly, making a great government program for them, I'm all for it. I'll chip in. I'm more than happy to. Trying to police 8 million people is dumb. It's not, this is the correct word for me to use. It is dumb. It doesn't work. You vaccinated us, you corralled us, you tried to hide us in our homes. COVID is still around. You guys, the government can't keep drugs out of prison. The government can't keep drugs out of prisons. How the hell is he going to keep a virus out of the country, out of the province? The buses are still open. The metro is still open. The malls are still open. The Walmart is still open. Big box stores are still open. You have to wonder why. I'm sure these politicians have friends in high places that love to keep their stores open. And I'm sure there's lots of money exchanging hands, but the little guys, the guy with the restaurants, the guy with the businesses, shut them down. It makes no logical sense. You won't publicly debate it. You've embarrassed yourself on the world stage. Other countries are doing better than you without restrictions. Now look, Canada's done fairly well, but I don't think it has anything to do with our restrictions. Common sense. Educate the people. Canadian people are not stupid. Quebecois are not stupid. We're a high IQ population. We know that COVID is dangerous for a certain demographic of people. Personal responsibility trumps all your useless, ridiculous, absurd measures, COVID measures. Okay, guys, with that said, I'd like to open up the conversation. Go ahead, shoot your questions and comments at me. I've had it up to here with Monsieur Legault, Mama Legault, Francois Legault, Big Mama Bear. I don't need him to protect me from COVID. I've been around COVID. I've been exposed to people with COVID. I have zero fear of COVID. I'm vaccinated. And if I catch COVID, I don't think I have no fear of COVID. I'm willing to accept COVID as another risk. Just like when I cross the street, I know there's a risk. I could get hit by a car. For me, it's just another risk. Give me the science, give me the data, and I'll go out there in the world and I'll take the measures I need to protect myself. The reason for the curfews is because of unvaxxed going to be hospitalized. They count up to 60% of people and count to 10% of the entire population. Okay, so 10% of the population are the unvaxxed that are 60% in the hospital bed. Okay, if that's a statistic, I understand you. Find them. Tell them, hey, you want to bet? It's private now. It's only for people. It's only publicly paid for if you're vaccinated, etc. Punish those people who are causing the problem, who need the hospital's beds. I mean, figure out a better solution. I'm doing it on the fly here. I think I can come up with a better solution if you gave me time. Okay, I'm doing it on the fly. But I'll tell you one thing that's not sensical. One thing that is really, really dumb is to try to police all 8 million people in Quebec and try to lock them into their homes at 10 p.m. We're an open and free society. We'll never accept this. This is an absurdity. It's dumb. It's a stupid strategy. It doesn't work. People are still going to mix around. People are still going to go to each other's houses. People are still going to do everything that they're going to do. I hope you all hear me loud and clear. People are going to do everything they're going to do. And there's no way to police 8 million people from hanging around and meeting up together. There's no way. You don't have enough police. You don't have enough manpower. All you're doing is hurting small to medium-sized businesses, which are 40% bankrupt, by the way, already. Look that up. Do not comply, do not comply. You know what? The Canadians, you can learn a lot from the US. If you're scared of COVID, stay home. That's your business. We're not talking about meningitis here. Okay, we're talking about COVID-19. Look up the statistics. You have more chances of dying. The vast majority of you out there have more chances of dying by getting hit by lightning. You have more chances of getting hit by lightning. Okay, now I'm not referring to those who are obese, those who are elderly, and those with comorbidity. I'm not referring to you. You know what demographic you belong to. Coach, this is obviously tyranny. How do you fight? How do fight it on an individual level? Move to Texas. That's from 47 tank. You know what? It's starting to become a dream of mine to move to the US. It's starting to become a dream of mine. What else do you get here? For us, is there a plan to move TriStar Gym to the States, or is it too much of a hazard with a family and all? Shady G, I would be in the United States, and I'm going to be in the United States very shortly for a training camp. I would be in the United States in a heartbeat if it wasn't for my family. I have a very large family. I would want to take them all with me, and that's a complicated thing. But things are getting dire over time and might change my mind. However, for now, I'm going to be staying put in Canada. I'm hoping the Canadians will come to their senses. The US has done COVID protocols and restrictions too. That's from Marco. Marco, they may have, different states have different protocols, but nonetheless, I've been in the US, I've been to Florida, I've been to Vegas. They're far more open than us. Here in Quebec, it's become insanity. It's becoming insanity. We have this guy, Mr. François Legault, and his team and his doctors. They tell us what to do. No reasons why. No evidence. No shocking numbers. They're basically 400 hospital beds. Think about it. All of Quebec, 8 million people, where 400 hospital beds are full. 400 hospital beds for a province of 8 million people. I mean, if they did the math, I think they could muster up a smarter strategy. And I feel for everybody who's suffering from COVID. I really do, and I apologize for not mentioning it earlier. My heart goes out to everybody who's suffering from COVID. I wish you all a speedy recovery. However, nonetheless, your suffering from COVID has nothing to do with my daily routine, and I wish you well, and I support any which way I can help them. It is not true that me going through my daily routine is helping people who are suffering from COVID. I don't believe it. I don't see any evidence of it. Until I see evidence, proof of it, I don't believe it. Texas is awesome. Started in 2020 and still training. That's from Irvin. Irvin, God bless you, man. Stay free and enjoy your training, and don't ever, don't ever give up your guns. Texas wants you. Well, I love what Texas as well. Coach Faraz Zahabi, who are the top 5? Zirak, I'm not talking about MMA today. We're not talking about MMA. Love you, Canadian brothers. Godspeed. That's from Jake. Thank you, Jake. That's very sweet of you. Hi, Coach. How are you? Hello from Vancouver. That's from Knock Knock. Knock Knock. Hello, Vancouver. I love Vancouver. I hope things are good there. I hope they're not stepping on your throat like they are doing to us here in Quebec. Come to Abu Dhabi. Come to Dubai. That's from Noor Hafiz. Noor Hafiz, I'll tell you, it's one of my favorite places in the world. I would come in a heartbeat. It's just the logistics, family logistics is holding me back. CKB is also considering moving to the US, so maybe that would be an option for you also. For us, hold on a second, skipping. But it would truly mean a loss for Canadian MMA. That's from Venom Musk. Well, Venom, I appreciate that, but the Canadians don't really care about MMA. It's incredible how Quebec shoots itself in the foot every time we try to do something positive. In Quebec, it's illegal. Grappling tournaments are illegal still. Why? Why is grappling illegal in Quebec? Well, two gyms feuding, and the police were tired of dealing with these two gyms feuding. They said, you know what, cancel your sport completely. No more public events. It's insane how they shoot themselves in the foot, how they crush the youth, how they discard them. Oh, you're a headache for me. Filling out this paperwork is a headache for me. Dealing with you is a headache. Let me punish the entire sport. It's nonsensical. They have no skin in the game. They're heartless. They're cold. They're tyrannical. They made it illegal for us to have grappling tournaments. They made it illegal for us to have Muay Thai, kickboxing, Muay Thai. Like, they make it illegal for us to practice a very common sport. And they do it in such a nonchalant, careless way. They don't realize that, it keeps kids off the street. It gives kids a goal. It allows them to adapt a healthy lifestyle. It builds businesses. It does so much good to the world, but their own personal preferences take heed over the job they're paid to do. They're paid to do a job, but since it's not a private business, since if they do it well or not, it's their own. Nothing. They'll never lose their job for being incompetent. The vast majority of the government body will never lose their job for being incompetent, and that's a very sad thing. It's bad for you, Zahabi, but it's also bad for everyone. That's from Daniel Reynolds. Well, you know what? I agree. And my heart goes out for those who are suffering, and especially restaurateurs now. They just shut down all the restaurants, except for delivery, of course. A lot of people are going to go out of business. It's extremely sad. Extremely, extremely sad. They're going to print more money. The Canadian government wants to print more money. They recently asked for $7 billion, and when asked when that money is going to come from, they have literally no answer. People don't understand inflation. People think they're getting free money. You're wrong. The rich will get richer. If you have assets, and there's inflation, your assets are worth more. Your assets go up in value. If you own things, you're going to be richer. Rich people are going to get richer. The more money they print, the richer the rich get. Now, if you're poor and you're taking that money and you think it's free, you're wrong. Your children and you in the future will not be able to, you won't even be able to rent an apartment without having the need of a roommate. You won't be able to own housing in the future. Your children's future are at risk because you think taking a free check in the mail is good for you and you're happy. You're happy to stay home with your free check. You didn't create any value in the world and you're happy to have your free check. There's no such thing as free money. It's going to cost you in the end. And the rich are going to get richer, and you won't be able to own assets like they do in the future. Coach Faraz, thanks for sharing your knowledge. Well, it's always a pleasure to come on here and chat with all of you. Hey, Coach, I was planning on moving Montreal to the dorms January 1st in Ontario, Brampton, but lockdown had happened. What now? You know what? That's another very sad thing. The dorm used to be booked in advance for 6 months. If you wanted to come train at TriStar Gym, you have to book in advance, 6 months in advance. Right now, obviously, it's closed. Unfortunately, we had to pivot because the Quebec government thinks that their lockdowns are effective. They were supposed to have a 2-week lockdown. Here we are, 2 years later. How many more years of our lives are we going to give them? How many more years? How many more years? Guys, my daughter right now tested positive for COVID. My daughter, my own daughter, okay? I have zero fear of COVID. She's fine. She didn't even know she had COVID. I just tested her. I had those home test kits. I tested her just because, she looked a little flushed. She's perfectly fine. She knows that. Now, of course, she's a child. I'm not saying that's everybody's experience. Of course, it's not everybody's experience. But did I run for the hills? Did I bury my... No, I told her, look, we're going to stay 2 meters away. I talked to her. She's older now. She understands. And I've tested myself 3 times. I'm negative. I'm going to take a test again tomorrow. I'm not worried about COVID. I'm just doing it to make sure that I don't pass it on. But I have zero worry about COVID. Like, personally, for my demographic, my health, my... health status right now. If I were to catch COVID, I have more chance of dying. I have more chance of getting hit by lightning twice than dying from COVID. That's what I think. I have more chance of getting hit by lightning 2 times in a row, standing in the same spot, than I have from dying from COVID. Okay, now I know it's not true for everybody. I know a lot of you out there have comorbidity. Some of you are obese. Some of you are old. But I cannot quarantine myself for another 2 years. This is never going to happen. And I hope that fellow Canadians out there who are going to hear this are going to protest. Use your minds, use your brains to realize, hey, does it make sense to quarantine 8 million people, lock them into their homes to protect a very small demographic of people who are really in danger of this disease? And shouldn't they just focus all their time and energy on that particular demographic? Would it be so insane to, instead of spending $7 billion, take a fraction of that and make a program to protect the elderly, bring them their food, sanitize whatever interactions that they have, build a type of individual bubble that they're happy, they're healthy, they're isolated, and they're entertained. Keep our elderly happy, keep our people who are in danger happy, absolutely, and it will cost us a lot less than $7 billion. Is the government known? For those of you who are not you're not that. Some of you might be very young. Is the government known for being efficient? No. Is the government known for being creative and coming up with efficient solutions? No. It's a resounding no. The answer is a resounding no. They have the reputation for being inefficient, incompetent, and careless. Now, with that said, we've given them 2 years of our lives. Another 2 years it's scary. I hope the Canadians have some backbone. This would never happen in the US. The Americans would never accept this. The Europeans would never accept this. They have a different type of spirit or outlook in life. And Canada needs that very desperately. Very desperately. Well said, buddy. Calm and sense should prevail. That's from Michael Boyer. Well, you know what? If they don't have... you're right. I mean, if they don't have public debate, if they refuse public debates, we should definitely disobey. We should have, civil disobedience. If the government refused to talk to us as rational human beings and just delegate to us nonsensical laws, it's our duty as citizens. It's our duty as citizens to have civil disobedience. It's our duty. It's not a question of believing in science or not believing in science. They're withholding the science from us. they're withholding the science from us. All right, guys, we have a super chat here. This is happening in the US. That's the scary part. That's from Mike Sinatra. Mike, well, I've been in the US and it's at least happening to a much lesser degree. Okay, now I saw a video of a woman. I saw a video of a woman slapping and spitting on a man in an airplane. An insane video, because he didn't have his mask on. He put his mask down and he was eating on the plane, which is allowed, by the way. You know, for those of you who haven't flown, I've flown many times during COVID, many times, 20, 30 times. I've been on the plane 20, 30 times. And every airline allows you to pull your mask down and eat. Now, obviously, you can't eat with your mask on, and they're serving food, so he's eating. This woman, who seems to be insane, and this was like a 75-year-old man. She gets up, she spits on him, she's threatening him, she's yelling at him with her mask down, yelling. People have become insane. And not only that, she walks up to him and she slaps him. Like she's above the law. She's above the airline. The airline wasn't even enforcing that he wear a mask. The airline's like, hey, he's eating. And you hear the man saying, hey, I'm eating. That's why my mask is down. Like, I'm wearing a mask. And even if the guy refused to wear a mask, even if he did, which he did, let the police take care of him. When he lands, he'll get a fine. He'll be barred from flying again. Whatever measure that they instill. What on earth? People are losing their mind. And it's not this only one isolated incident. People have become more violent on airplanes. There's a mass spike in up in the air, guys. Up 10,000 feet in the air. Imagine fights breaking out. 10,000 feet in the air. There has been a massive amount of violence on airplanes. Why? People are going crazy with these measures. You're making people crazy. Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son. Look into it. That's from R7 Zurich. There is a rumor out there that Fidel Castro fathered. It just said Trudeau. I personally don't believe it, but I've heard this rumor in the past, yeah. No vaccine for me in America. Do what I want, when I want, however I want. Do something about it. That's Hulk age, believe it. That's right, my friend. You know, I respect that. You know, I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not anti-vaccine. I won't give it to my kids because I don't know. You know, I don't see why children would need it. They're not dying from COVID. And that's barring obese children. Okay, obese children, they're saying they should take it. That's a scary thing. And obesity, since the lockdown measures, has gone up 25% in children. So the government has actually made the population, by and large, with their quarantines, less healthy. If your children are 25% more obese, imagine the adults. Imagine the statistics in the adult. And what is this disease attack? The number one demographic that's in danger of COVID is obese. I shouldn't say the word. I'm going to try to avoid it because they're going to flag this video. They already gave me a strike. Every time I talk about this subject, I get a strike. I get a warning from the Führers of YouTube, the great leaders of YouTube, giving me warnings, telling me, be careful what you talk, be careful how I talk on the internet. And so I have to be careful so they don't flag this video. But the great Führers of YouTube deem me to be a threat, a problem. So I wouldn't want to see this channel get shut down, but if it does, I mean, what can I do? For us, would you accept unvaccinated people in your gym? That's from Sammy. Well, Sammy, if you're vaccinated, you're welcome to train. That's the law. I'm respecting the law. I have no choice. But if it was up to me, everybody's always welcome. But unfortunately, it's not up to me. The government says that everybody needs to be vaccinated. And when you come in, I have to check your vaccine. Coach, you mentioned possibly moving to the US. Do you think you will be moving? Not anytime soon. I'd have to, you know, go through a negotiation. It will be a long process. Coach, you mentioned, oh, that's the same one. Free speech is overrated. That's from Ellen. I think he's just trying to be funny. The Führers, LOL, spot on analogy. That's from Kevin. Kevin, you're right, man. Actually, I'm right. You're quoting me. They have become the Führers, which just means great leader. 150, that's not true. Come on, man. How dare you say that? You're jabbing children from the age of 5 years old in New Zealand. Terrible government. That's from time after time. Time after time, I agree with you. I'm not vaccinating my kids. They're not in need of it. Why am I going to? And there's this whole thing, do it for the others. Do it for the others. No, you sacrifice for my children. The youth are not going to sacrifice for you. You sacrifice for the youth, okay? It's women and children first, gentlemen. Women and children first. Now, I don't believe the vaccines are dangerous, but because my children are growing, because my children are growing, I don't know if it's going to interrupt their, their prepubescent, they're going through, their bodies are changing. Nobody can know these kind of things. And I love when people say, oh, if nothing bad happens after 3 months, that generally means nothing bad will happen in the future. Who says? Like, what epistemology is this? What expert are you appealing to? What expert? So if you smoke for 3 months and you didn't die, does that mean that smoking long term? No, they had to have long term studies, and they had to have millions and millions and millions of data points to be certain that long term smoking. You know that smoking, when it came out, it was recommended by doctors. Actually, smoking can heal a disease or two, but by and large, it's bad for you. We know that now because smoking's been around for such a long time. It's been studied, and it took us a long time to prove it. Do you think that but just because one guy out there said, hey, well, if nothing bad happens to you after 3 months, you should be good, you think that's how science works? This is not how the scientific method works. You need a double-blind study. You need to follow people for 20, 30 years. You'd have to have such a wide sample of people from such a wide demographic, and then still it would just be strong evidence. It wouldn't be proof. It still would not necessarily be considered proof. What about sport exemptions? There is a clause about high performance sports. That's from Michael Kim. In the US, you can imagine you get that. Here in Canada, they don't care about your sports. And if it's not hockey, they don't care about you. If you get sick, you are still stressing your immune system and shortening your lifespan. That's from Daniel Reynolds. That's not necessarily true, Daniel. You know what? I've been exposed to COVID many times. I know that for a fact because I know people I train with, travel the globe. I roll with them. They have COVID. I roll with the guy before and after. Like I'm in the COVID. I'm in the mosh pit, guys. I'm in the mosh pit every day. Can I travel? Like I'm going to the Vegas right now. I'm going to be training in a mosh pit full of human beings. I'm probably the most. I have no fear of COVID. Like my daughter got COVID. I didn't catch COVID. I keep testing negative every day. I have home test kits. I test every day or every second day, and I'm negative. Negative. If I'm positive, I don't go out in the world. But I'm negative, 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 and I've been in contact with COVID. I know that for a fact. So I'm not saying I'm immune to COVID. I can't catch COVID. It's just that I've had it before. I'm vaccinated. I believe the vaccines work. If I catch COVID, I might have had COVID and not known it. That's also a possibility. 80% of people have very mild symptoms. 20% have severe symptoms. That's the last time I checked the statistics. It's only 20 people have severe symptoms. Immunology shows us that immune activation results in shortening of lifespan naturally. Okay, well, Daniel, you have a great point. I'm not an immunologist, but I'll tell you one thing. I'd rather live a shorter life than be quarantined like an animal for year after year. And when I'm 60 years old, you're going to let me out for a weekend, and I'm going to be so frail and so out of touch with germs outside in the world, because there's a balance to what you're saying. You're right. Maybe having cancer 4 or 5 times in a year is not good for your immune system. I understand. But there's also isolating yourself too much in a plastic bag, turning yourself into a bubble boy, raising a generation of germophobes. That's what Legault is doing. He's raising a generation. He doesn't understand, but he's probably raising a generation of germophobes and living in a plastic bubble. And then one day you come across some kind of contaminant or the disease or bacteria, and your body's just not used to it. And guess what? It's going to hit you harder than it would have if you were exposed to it gradually and on a regular basis. So I think the logic works both ways. You want to strengthen your immune system, but there's a limit. It's like everything else. There's a balance. Daniel equals Bubble Boy. Legault, François Legault is Bubble Boy. Mama François Legault, Big Mama Bear, François Legault is the Bubble Boy. Let the memes fire away. No fighters smoke. I don't have fighters that smoke, no. Coach, do you see Joe Rogan podcast with Peter McCullough? He told real facts about the current COVID situation. That's from Roy's. I started the episode. I didn't get a chance to finish it. I did hear a lot of what he said. It makes sense. I can't believe that they're editing him. They're restricting him from talking. I believe they took his channel down or his Twitter thing down. They're censoring him, and the man's just speaking facts. So I think it's unhealthy. Let them have a public debate. Why do you want to censor him? And I don't want to hear Fauci. Fauci, the world's most arrogant human being. He said, speaking in the third person, Fauci says, an attack on Fauci is an attack on science itself. This is an absurdity. This is an absurdity. Look at the internet. There's a clip of Fauci on the internet saying, this is 20 years ago, he's saying that Prolonged contact, day-to-day contact with somebody with AIDS in the household can lead to you catching AIDS. Just day-to-day contact. Hi, how are you? Having a coffee together. He wasn't talking about having unprotected sex with this person. No, he was saying, look, this is his conjuncture. He's saying, hey, I think personally, no, not referring to any scientific study. He's saying, I think that if you're with somebody every day and you're in close proximity with them, you can contract COVID. Not COVID. You can contract the AIDS virus. Now, it's on the internet. The Hill did a piece on it. They played the recording of him saying this. Now, today we know that's an absurdity. And he should have said, in my opinion, I believe that it's possible and we need further study. That's what he should say, from a position of humility. Instead, you have him here today saying an attack on Fauci, talking in the third person. I don't know why he's talking in the third person. Is an attack on science itself. Like he's like the Christ of science or something. Like nobody understands science except him. We didn't go to university. We didn't study it. Like we're too dumb. Like we don't have the internet access. Like we can't read. We don't listen to podcasts with thousands and thousands of intellectuals on the internet for free. They give you their information for free. And anybody who is gonna contradict Fauci is contradicting science. This is pure arrogance. It's stupid. It's arrogant. We don't buy it. The vast majority of us are too smart to buy it. It's nonsensical. It's dumb. No philosopher of science would ever say this. No philosopher of science would ever say this. He would come from a much more humble position and say, look, we know so little about what there is to know. True knowledge, let me quote you all Socrates here. True knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. It's not how much you know, it's how much you understand. Of how little you know. How much do you understand that human beings know so little? How much of a grasp have you got on that? There is so much to know, and human beings know so little of it that you would never, if you're truly a seeker of truth, you would never say such an arrogant, stupid, moronic thing. Now, I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm saying what he said was dumb. He's a smart, intelligent guy. Sure, he's a PhD, he's a doctor, he's an expert in his field, but that doesn't make him immune to cross-examination from other experts in science, philosophy of science, and philosophy. We need to cross-examine this man because he's run amok. Like he thinks he's the Christ. He thinks he's like he's some kind of science messiah or something. Crazy. I can't remember if there was a time in the past where the group of people were told to believe what they are allowed to and not allowed to believe. Dang, rings a bell. That's from B-Boy Stance. B-Boy, it is scary. It is scary. We're not allowed to cross-examine our question. Hell no. Hell no. I'm never going to accept this. Hell no. Okay, you can have as much groupthink as you want. You can have it on your own. Do it. That's your business. When I want to walk out of my door, Monsieur Legault, I'm going to walk out of my door at any hour of the day. At any hour of the day. At any hour of the day. And I think fellow Canadians need to man up a bit. Okay? Fellow Canadians, fellow Quebecois, you don't need a mama bear. You need your good sense. You need your reason, your logic, your good sense. And you know it's a risk. You go out there in the world and you calculate your risk and you live your life accordingly. They cannot keep COVID out of the country. They're unable. They're too incompetent. Think about it. The bus and metro are still open. People are still going to the mall. People are going to IGA touching 1 million items. You know how many people touch those items before you? It's common sense. You touch an item, don't touch your face, don't touch your mouth, wash your hands, and disinfect everything you bring home. It's common sense. If you use your common sense, you could be like the Swedish. The Swedish are doing laps around Canada. They're doing it all with their common sense and personal responsibility, and they're getting the same results with less vaccines and far less restrictions. The Swedish are a high IQ population, just like Canada, except Canadians are too submissive to a government that is power tripping. That let me give you guys a for instance. Let me highlight the level of stupidity and incompetence. This is last year, they gave a special permission. Wrestling clubs are still allowed to train. So sports were not allowed. However, wrestling clubs, because they were government funded, okay, you guys are allowed. However, there's a special restriction. What's the restriction? You have to wear a mask, like a pharmacy mask. If Think about the guy who made that rule. He's a pencil pusher behind a desk who's never wrestled a day in his life. And he's saying, how can I make wrestling okay and also safe? I know, put a mask on them. Now, this is not, don't tell, nobody please dare say this is scientific. No, come on now. Even Dr. Fauci, he wouldn't be that brave to lie to us at this level. If anybody out there ever wrestled, you know that a mask, putting a tissue paper with 2 rubber bands on it, ain't gonna stay on your face for even 30 seconds once you start wrestling, okay? Only an incompetent fool who's never wrestled in his life would be so arrogant to think that he knows that he thinks that that's a good answer. Like, you think he should have tried? He should have. Let me go to a wrestling club, put masks on these guys. Let me see that. I mean, does it make any sense what I'm saying? No, a resounding no. Wrestlers just wrestled, and guess what? They didn't wear the mask. Why? Because they knew immediately it was too stupid. The amount of sweat, first thing of all, that you're gonna have on the wrestling mat is gonna tear that piece of paper apart that's on your face. Never mind the rubber bands are not gonna stay on your head while you're wrestling. Never mind that you don't understand. Wrestling is a full in your face type sport. We're like completely in each other's face here. Like we're breathing the same air. That mask ain't gonna shelter me from that other person's air. It's moronic. It's dumb. It's stupid. It's embarrassing to the world. Like, it's embarrassing. Quebec is embarrassing itself on the world stage. It's humiliating. All Quebecois will abide by this. It's theater. It's theater. It's the theater. It's quarantine theater. Nobody's really quarantined. If they were really quarantined, they would shut everything down. Shut everything down for 4 weeks. Everything down. When I say everything, I mean everything down. Then maybe you could win. But like this, you're only losing. You're losing in every which way possible. Economically, statistically, the Swedish are not doing what you're doing, and their numbers are just as good. It's just a loss in every direction. It's all virtue signaling. That's from Golden Gully. I agree. They're virtue signaling. They're virtue signaling. They're trying to say, look, we're a mama bear to you. You're taxpayers. You're so sweet. You're so kind. Let us protect you. It's becoming a nation of sheep. It's sad. Move to Florida or Texas. That's from Jack Me Off. Jack, that day might be coming. That day might be coming. Trihard 7, keep your head up. Well, I appreciate that very, very much. But, guys, unfortunately, it's getting ridiculous. I apologize for ranting, but this is really getting ridiculous here in Quebec. I hope there's a protest soon. I hope there's a protest on New Year's Eve at midnight. Let's go tear it up in downtown. Let's have a protest. Let's let these guys know that their quarantine measures are dumb and unacceptable until they show us the real science, hard science, which they don't have, by the way. They're just flying by the seat of their pants, just so you guys know. There's no hard evidence, because if there was, they should just present it. There's no hard evidence. It's just guys in a room sitting around thinking, hey, how do we balance the budget and make people vote for us again? That's really what it is. That's really what it is. Now, anybody who's disagrees with me, you're probably young. You probably haven't seen these politicians in action for a long time, okay? I'm getting up there in age, gentlemen. I'm getting up there. And I'm not going to spend my life quarantined. I don't want to get out of quarantine when I'm 50, okay? I want to go out and enjoy my life. Do what I have to do. Oops, excuse me, I hit that spring that blocks the door. And go on with my life and forget that my government is trying to restrict my living. It's absurdity. It's an absurdity. These rules are dumb. They're just dumb. Put on a mask, and when you get vaccinated, you won't need the mask. Here we are, we're vaccinated. Still masks are mandatory. And now, not only are masks mandatory, quarantines are mandatory. Curfews are mandatory. Shut down businesses. Create more inflation. Canada was the 5th happiest country in the world before COVID. Now last time I checked, months ago, we're the 15th. So we dropped down 10 spaces. 10 spaces. You're creating a generation of germaphobe. A generation of germaphobe weaklings. Quebec is fostering, cultivating a culture, a future generation that are going to be cultured. They're going to be weak, submissive, and a shadow of what we used to be. I really hope Quebecois protest. I really hope all of you out there say no. I'm gonna be saying no. I'm gonna be out and about after 10 p.m. I'm gonna do what I want to do when I want to do it, and Mama Legault can go to hell. Okay, that's my opinion. And I know they're gonna come after me. I know they're gonna try to do all sorts of things to me, and so be it. But I refuse. Honestly, I refuse. I refuse their stupidity until they give us hard scientific data, expert upon expert. Allow us to cross-examine them. Experts cross-examining each other. Make some logical sense to us. Okay, you know what? I'll take this video down and I'll apologize publicly and I'll praise your measures. Till then, man, go to hell with your measures. Go to hell. That's what I have to say. You say you protest, but you enforce vax passports, man. That's from Bullfighter 42. Well, it's the law. I'm doing my best here. Okay, I've gotten 4 fines already. I'm fighting them already. I'm doing my best. There's a limit. But here's what I could do. The more people protest, the more I can take it to the next level. But for now, I'm pretty much standing alone here. So I'm really hoping. I'm really, really hoping that the Quebecois grow a pair and they stop cowering in the corners. Now, there's a lot of Quebecois that feel the same way, but I just really hope they make their voices heard. And this is unacceptable to us. Use the guillotine and not the BJJ kind. Use the guillotine, but not the BJJ kind. Hell yeah, Firas, don't let the big maple hold you down. That's right. All right, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope my rambling wasn't too boring. Please like, share, comment. Let them know. Let them know how you feel. Whether you agree with me or not, let them know. Let us all know. But I really hope that these measures don't last. Thank you all, and see you all in the next episode.